Activate.
Well, if Dave would play it. Hey, everybody. Welcome to This Pink Cloud. We are a show that is about multiple pathways to recovery, mental health, all that good stuff. Be sure, like, follow, all that mumbo jumbo.
You better.
I am DJ Kelly Reverb. Ah, yes. Always feels better to get that out, right?
Huh?
Huh? And sitting next to me, everybody, talking about mental health, give it up for Chad Lamons.
And it might be going by my alter ego, Chafe Lemons.
Ah, I like that better.
Everybody calls me Chad Lemons anyways. So I figured, why not just move it to Chafe?
Why not just lean into it?
Yeah, we'll just lean into it.
I got it.
You know?
I got it. So I am excited. This is our first actual international guest.
Ooh.
Really. Hey, fancy. The drum roll.
I meant to hit drum roll, but the snare roll is super long.
Right.
It's really loud.
So we have a good friend that we connected with, Radio Dave.
Yo, what up, gang?
Well, we connected, because we signed, you and I signed with a label called Mixa, and that's our friend out of Tampa.
Yeah, they sent me a shirt that doesn't fit.
Right?
Which is tight.
Well, fantastic.
We need to get a new shirt.
All right. But regardless,
It has nothing to do with the fact that I gained weight.
Yeah, right. it's not. It has nothing to do.
Nothing to do with the fact that I put on at least 20 pounds.
That you are more buxom than you were.
Buxom. That's a good one.
Buxom. Yeah.
I don't know if that's a real word.
Well, it is.
Well, look it up.
It is. And you are a handsome woman there, Chad. You have turned into quite a handsome young lady. But anyway, so Radio Dave was doing the interview for us being on Mixa Records, and then that's how we met him, and then we became friends on Instagram, and then I noticed he started doing a podcast, and in his podcast, him and his lovely wife started talking about recovery. And what's the name of their show again, Chad?
It's called Okay, So Hear Me Out.
Very Canadian. Okay. But we know Radio Dave is running a little bit late, but we've got really the star of the show with us right now. So all the way from, what is the town?
Fort McMurray.
Right here on the map. Fort McMurray, Canada.
Fort McMurray, Canada.
We got this brilliant production value picture.
Hey, it's better than nothing.
Great. The production value on that show is just great. Did you see that picture they had?
But anyway, exactly, dude. I took a shot of Google Maps, and then I put a little star on the town.
Just a little star. We
a
just put a little star on the little stars of the show.
Anyway, let's give it up for our guest all the way from Alberta, Canada, the lovely Caitlin, or I'm like Radio Caitlin.
Radio. It's usually Radio Dave's wife, actually. That's
right.
That's a big one that I get. Radio Dave's wife.
Which do you prefer? Right. So is this you do multiple interviews, or is this the first one?
This is my first.
I love it. We've got an exclusive.
Very excited.
We've got an exclusive. No, and I loved it because, I would see clips of the show, and then you guys started talking about sobriety and recovery and mental health, and I'm like, hey, guess what? That's what our show's about. So,
and what's even more fantastic is they have a podcast set up, so they're talking in microphones. That's even more fantastic. So now the audio is not going to cut in and out when we're talking at the same time. So the production value is going to be fantastic this episode.
Instead of just somebody being on their PC laptop.
Yeah, and it just starts cutting off half what they're saying because you're still talking.
Yeah. We don't, that internet Wi-Fi is not too strong. I'm in a parking lot at the Walgreens borrowing their Wi-Fi. But anyway, so I'm excited to have you on the show. So I guess tell us a little bit about your, how you got hijacked by Dave, and he made you his wife, and just a little bit of the backstory.
So Dave and I have been, he was one of the first people I met actually when I moved to Fort McMurray, 12,
Okay, where'd you move from?
13 years ago. Newfoundland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So Dave is also from Newfoundland too, but he was here like long before I got here. It's a very common thing, like Newfies want to come and make money, so they come to Fort McMurray for the oil money, and then it's the second, they call it the second largest city in Newfoundland because it's just full of Newfies.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Newfies, I like it.
At the time, Dave was a resident DJ for Club Envy, and
okay. And is that a big club in Fort McMurray?
It's closed now.
Okay. Well, and what is the population of Fort McMurray ballpark?
It's right now, because they include the commuters too, so it's about 64,000.
Yeah, so it's small town, but somewhat of an infrastructure.
Yeah, it's got a very small town feel, but there's a lot of people here that fly back and forth and that are in and out of camp and stuff too, for out on the rigs and stuff. So,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, he was a resident DJ, and my first night out was on Valentine's Day, and they were doing this stupid thing called Shred Your Ex parties. So in order to get into the bar, you had to bring a picture of your ex, and they put it through like a shredder. A shredder?
Oh, that's
like
funny.
A paper shredder. But it was like the way they promoted it made it sound a lot more exciting than what it actually was. Anyway.
Right.
So, yeah. So I went there, and my Dave was also the manager at the time too. So I was there with a group of guy friends, and they were all getting patted down to be like checked for like weapons and whatever. And
okay.
I mean, yeah, and then they just kind of let me walk in, and I was like, and I kind of looked at them weird, and I made this big deal about how I don't understand how women aren't getting patted down. They're like, we're not allowed. And I was like, do you understand what I could hide in my dress? Like, this is so weird.
Right.
And I was like, I don't understand. So I actually made them go get the manager because I wanted.
Somebody's patting me down.
Yeah.
Right.
Very drunk,
somebody's patting me down. I'm being touched tonight.
Yeah, somebody is touching me right now, and they're going to find whatever I'm hiding. Anyway, so he had to come down from the DJ booth, and then it just became like a thing I would do every weekend. I would wait until he'd come out of the DJ booth, and they'd go, Dave, Caitlin's at the front door again, waiting for you to come pat her down. She's got 200 people behind her and won't move. So it just became a thing, and he tried for years. He would always, at some point, we had exchanged numbers, and I was working as a loans officer. And so I had like my big girl job that I went to on Mondays, and he, every Monday morning, I'm not even kidding you, he would text me and go, hot tub party. And I'd go, I have my big girl job. And he'd go, fuck your big girl job. And then I wouldn't hear from him again for a week. So this was like, it was like a steady back and forth. And then the club closed, and he kind of went and he met his ex-wife and went his way. I moved out of Fort McMurray for a couple years, and then came back, and I started waitressing at a bar where his ex-wife was working, and found out that they were like separating, and him and I just kind of reconnected, and I had kind of helped him through the separation into this marriage.
There you go. Nice. He missed he's like, I missed casually groping you on the weekends.
He did. He missed patting me down. So now he pats me down every day.
That's funny. But okay, so you said big girl job, but then I also know that you had an enterprise of your own going on, right?
I did. Yeah. Yeah.
So is this while you're having the big girl job, or when you went away for 2 years, then you had? So explain to us how that all fit into the picture.
Okay. So when I moved to Fort McMurray, I became I was already into the drug scene, but didn't really know anybody here. So I got introduced into the drug scene by just a couple of people that I had met and ran into, and very quickly became the girl to go to if you're looking for stuff and looking for whatever. So, and then I started to kind of in my brain was like, why am I sending other people to other people when I could just like, why am I making other people money? I'm not getting anything out of this.
No, duh. Yeah.
Right. So I kind of started my own little enterprise, very small. Was just kind of doing it like it would just be to friends or whatever, and then
enough to afford your own habit for free.
Basically, I didn't have to take money out of my bank account. I didn't have to take any money out. I could just whatever, and then it very quickly grew. I honestly don't even know where the turning point was, but it just was like I can't keep up with it because I did have my big girl job. And there was people who were calling me at 3:00 on a Tuesday. And I'm like, you know what I mean? And
I'm at my day job and somebody's hitting me up for a sack of blow.
Yeah. I was leaving it I was putting it in like the cup holder of my car, and they would like grab it and leave the money. It was bad. So I was like, you know what? I need to go full time. So I actually ended up leaving that job, and then me leaving town was actually to go. It turned into me having to go set up enterprises for other people in other cities and other towns.
Nice, I like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did. Yeah, and then I very quickly got involved. With some pretty big higher up people, I guess we'll call them. And there's some stuff I can't
some
really
great
say.
characters.
Well, here let's talk about their names. Let's go ahead and get that out there and
and where they're from and where they live. So I ended up getting involved and ended up with a seat at a pretty big table of people that got to make.
So you kind of unintentionally became a Queenpin of Canadian distribution.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't try it. I didn't mean to. It just kind of happened. And then it was like, well, I'm here now, so I may as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So and then that went up right up until Dave and I got together. So it was about 10 years that I was selling for.
Right. Okay. And then, so did you ever have any repercussions from that, or was there any close calls? Or
I've had a couple of close calls, but I never got charged. I was never arrested. I was very, I say, I don't know where your beliefs sit, but I always say that God was with me my entire 10 years, because there were some very, very close calls. I had one moment where I was actually driving in my vehicle, and I had probably about a half ounce of blow done up into like baggies. And I had also been drinking. Now, at one point, I did have a do not detain on my name. I don't know if you guys know what that is in the States. I don't know if you guys have those.
We do not. Please explain.
So in Canada, when you are put under investigation through the drug unit, you're basically untouchable to the RCMP. Which is the RCMP for us is the FBI for you guys. That's our Canadian FBI, basically.
What does that stand for? Royal
Canadian Mounted Police. Whatever. Okay. So they actually drive around.
Sounds so Canadian, dude.
It's very Canadian. So they drive around and patrol and stuff, and can pull you over for speeding and all that kind of stuff. But they do a lot of like major investigations. So they're the federal. Now some of our provinces have their own provincial police. Alberta doesn't, but Edmonton does have their own police service. So it's kind of, it varies by like the province and the municipality and whatever. So when the RCMP, there's a branch off from them that's like the, it's called like the Canadian Drug Enforcement, I think Canadian Drug Enforcement Program or something. So they can, if they know or notice that you are hanging around affiliated or just kind of around sketchy people that they're interested in, you kind of get put into that spider web with red string on the board. And once you get put into that, then they place what's called a do not detain on your name. So you get pulled over. So let's say if I was drinking and driving and I got pulled over and they've ran my name and the do not detain came up, unless they're followed by the drug unit, they have to let me go because it could interfere with their investigation by arresting me.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I would actually want to be put on that list.
It was the funnest 4 years
drunk driving like a motherfucker.
It was a really good 4 years. I'm not gonna lie. It was a really good 4 years.
That is very backwards, and I don't understand.
I see why they would want to do that, though, because they want to keep an investigation going and build as much evidence as they could so they can actually fucking nail you.
Yeah, but that's like such a nice way, dude.
That's a nice way to do it.
Very Canadian.
Like, dude. Yeah.
So if they put me in jail, it's easier for them to like tail me and watch me than it is to tail the boss. You know what I mean? So if I'm in jail, then they don't have anybody to follow, kind of is how they look at it, right?
Sure.
So the investigation, and it can go for.
Did you realize you were on that? Did you realize you were on that list at any point?
Well, this is the day that I found out that I was on it, because I didn't know.
Okay.
I had no idea, and people were kind of like, "You're definitely going to end up on a spiderweb board," and I was like, "There's no way." Like you know what? I might show up at houses that I shouldn't be at and whatever, but it's no way. So anyway, I had left a friend's house and I had like a half ounce done up in baggies, and like in my cup holder, I had a 1 liter of Diet Pepsi that was like half spiced rum, like should not have been driving, but
like a Yeti.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Hell yeah.
I got this. And the drugs were right in the cup holder. And there was a, they do traffic stops where they like, on long weekends and stuff and holidays, they'll have like police at an intersection and you have to go through them.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, they have those those checkpoints. They have that in California. They don't necessarily do that in Texas, but
it's illegal in Texas. They still try to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway. I went through and the officer rolled down my window and she pointed the flashlight at my cup holder and she said, "I'm going to need to see your license." And I was like, "I'm fucked. Like I'm going to jail." Because I forgot the drugs were in my cup holder because I'm an idiot at the time. And then she came back, gave me my license, and she said, "Have a good night." And I was like, okay. And I drove off. So I was like, what the fuck just happened? Like, how is this even something?
Because
like, how is this
like
possible?
on a scale of 1 to 10, how hammered were you at that time?
I was on like day 4.
Oh, so you were on a bender. So we're talking like what, 7, 8 on a scale of 1 to 10?
Radio
I was
day,
probably like an 11.
Oh, holy shit! So you were just like, could you? I mean, how were the motor skills, like driving? Like, were you?
I became
all over the place.
At it. No, I became a master at it. Like it's doing. I mean, selling cocaine in a place like this, where everybody does it because it's the drug of choice, right? Because a lot of oil rigs do drug testing. Well, you only got to be off it for 3 days and you can pass your drug test. So it's like a really, right? So it was, I mean, I was very busy and I was very high and drinking lots of alcohol. So, but the cocaine kind of cancels out the booze. So it kind of.
Well, no, I see now they work in tandem for me. So you drink and then you do cocaine so you can drink more.
Ironically, it is a very incredibly dangerous mixture because in your body, it metabolizes into this drug called, or this chemical called cocaethylene, which is incredibly harmful for you.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah, it's pretty dangerous. But I've never thought it was dangerous when I did it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was just felt better.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
So anyway, what did you put? How did you put the whole I'm on the list together? So after she let you go, when you were apparently
home in silence, holding my steering wheel, like, what the fuck just happened? And I made a phone call to a buddy of mine, and I was like, this, and he was like, oh, you have a do not detain. You're under investigation. And I was like, well, shit. And he goes, no, it's a good thing. He's like, you can basically just do whatever you want now.
It's good because you're affiliated with drug kingpins.
Yeah, he's like, but here's the thing. If you see a black SUV pull up behind you with their lights on, you're fucked. So you better either run or take what's happening, because they're the ones who can actually
or eat it all.
Yeah, get rid of the drugs.
Oh, that's crazy. So then how did that play out? So then you 4 years you're on that, and you're just hoping an SUV doesn't pull up behind you. But then how does it go from, I guess, where you stop being in that enterprise?
Well, it was a process for me to get out. It wasn't just like a...
Well, yeah, I'm sure, because it's like mafia shit. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna get out, guys. Is that okay?
Yeah. I'm gonna stop making you money. Are you okay with that? Like, no.
Right?
So it was a process. There was payments that needed to be made, and conversations that needed to be had. And up until, I want to say, last year was the last time that I actually got approached by the police that were trying to, like, get me to be an informant. So that's the first time they showed up, was when I knew that the D&D was gone, that I was no longer under investigation, because they came to me and they were like, hey, we think you could help. And I was like, I've been sober for 2 years. Don't you think people are going to start to think it's a little weird if I just show up asking for kilos of cocaine again? Like, it's a little weird. Right. It's not that easy.
Yeah.
Like, I can't just show up and be like, hey, I'm in. Like, that's not how it goes.
Right.
Right.
Sure.
So, and they've, up until, it was last year was the last time actually that I was approached. I had them show up at the house here, and they were like, people.
Well, okay.
Like,
so I got a question. How do they, so why would you, now that you're out of the cocaine game, why would you want to get back? And I mean, are they offering you money or what? Because usually it's like, okay, you're going to prison, or you're going to help us, kind of thing. And then that's when people turn dime or whatever.
So his exact words were, if you have any credit card debt that needs to be paid, we should talk. And I was like, okay, I got a lot of credit card debt, bro, but, like, seriously?
Dude, I'm moving to Canada.
Look, I can't.
Yeah. So one thing that I did,
we're gonna expunge your credit card debt. Let me just absorb that. We're gonna expunge your credit card debt if you fucking turn on your friends.
Yeah.
I love that.
Like, they pay, and I know, because
we'll give your children college. We'll give your children university. If you become a narc.
Thousands, depending on the level of the person you help them get, tens of thousands of dollars they'll pay you.
Oh, wow. So oh, wow. So it can be lucrative to be a narc.
Yes. Here in Canada.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But you'll still die. You'll still die.
Yeah.
They'll still kill you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
They try to say that it's like an anonymous thing where your name never gets released, but it actually, they have to legally, on the disclosure statement in court, have to release who the informant was. So they always find out.
Nice. And then, now, do they have any kind of witness protection program in Canada?
They do, but I don't think they would care to use it on somebody who just helped them get a drug dealer. They're like, you're fine. You got this.
Right. Yeah. You'll be good. Nobody will want you.
Nobody wants you anymore.
Yeah. That is crazy. I love that, though. But I guess you just walked in there, young man. I know you were running a little bit late, but how are you, senor?
Tired. Beat.
Yeah?
A lot of running around today that wasn't expected, but good.
Right.
Good to see
okay,
you
well,
again.
Yeah, dude. Well, I mean,
man.
The last time we all talked was the tables were turned, and you were interviewing us.
Yeah, for the Mixa, for your release on
Mixa Records.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, so now we get to ask you the tough questions, like, were you on Epstein's flight log?
This interview is over.
Yeah, we're gonna start getting to the baby oil lining of questioning. I had no baby oil. I had nothing to do with it. It wasn't me.
Well, Diddy's been in Canada before. We know that.
Right. Diddy has been to Fort McMurray on this date.
Yeah, in this exact location that Kelly pulled up, this little star on this map for the production value.
You like that, don't you?
I love it, dude.
Oh, beautiful.
So Dave, let's get a little bit of your backstory. We heard like the craziness, while y'all were, while you were feeling up your future wife. At a club that became part of your job description as manager / DJ.
I'm gonna have to watch this back, I guess.
She was talking about the pat downs and how you
and
would
the
have to
fuck your big girl job hot tub party.
Oh yeah, great. So we dove right in, eh?
Yeah.
Right. Well, so yeah, give us a, I guess, your account of, what went down, and actually, your account of like, as far as substance go, what caused it, and then how you got out of it.
Oh man. Okay. How I got out of it this time.
Right.
Took a few shots, but
hey, it does sometimes.
Yeah. So I was basically raised in the church, very from Newfoundland, which is very, very conservative, very conservative Protestant. Pentecost is what it's called.
Right.
Back home. So, and when you're raised in Newfoundland, it's like small rural country kind of spot where you're like, if you're raised in a church and you're a Christian, there's two things you're going to do. You're either going to be a missionary or you're going to be a pastor. That's it. Those are the only options you've got. Right. So I didn't drink. I went to church every Sunday, every Friday, youth group, played the drums every service. And I did that up until I graduated. And I married my high school sweetheart. We had 2 kids. We moved to Fort McMurray. And as you would expect for a person that gets married at 19, it doesn't last. Once you get into the real world and you realize all that delusions of grandeur that they feed into you while you're growing up in the real world doesn't really account for much. So me and my wife at the time, we got separated, and I did not take it well.
Right. So well, what's the bitch's name? No, I'm just
kidding. No, we're actually, it's funny because we just weren't finished growing up when we got married. We were 19.
Oh no, I get it. Yeah, a lot of people do that, and I'm just like, anybody that's getting married in their 20s, I'm like, I'm not saying it can't work out, but I'm like, okay, good luck with that.
Odds are against you.
Right.
But we're good now. We're more because obviously she's the mother of my kids, so we're more like a brother and sister now, which is kind of weird, but that's
okay, I'm not going to even say anything about that comment, and I'll just let that slide.
That's very, very gentlemanly of you.
Right. Well, so you were probably in the party scene, like, after you started DJing, probably, the alcohol is free. That's how it started for me. And that was one of the perks. That was one of the reasons why I signed up.
Yeah. That's,
free drinks and girls, and you get paid for it. Are you kidding me?
It's pretty much
who needs college?
Yeah. Losers.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly how it went. Once I started DJing, I realized I was good at it, and other people realized I was good at it. And I got really good at it when I was drunk. They're like, hey, here you go, here you go, here you go. Didn't pay for drinks or drugs for probably 7 years. I actually had to move away to get away from it to get sober the first time. Just so
where'd you go?
Where nobody didn't know who I was.
Where'd you end up going?
Edmonton, which is 5 hours south of where we're at. Still pretty fucking north. But
yeah. Oh yeah. Well, we have our little map. Chad was making fun of me because I took a Google Map shot and then I put a little red star.
Oh, look,
on
there's
the town.
Edmonton on the map.
Yeah, see,
the production value is fantastic.
Dude, I went. You know that is fucking.
That's good, dude.
Fantastic, because now people don't have to go look it up and do that themselves.
That's fantastic.
We're saving.
Hopefully, they look at this while they're driving.
That's right.
Yeah. Hopefully, they can stare at this map and figure out Canada while they're driving.
Exactly.
There we
that
go.
Would be
it's
fantastic.
not quite igloos, but it's definitely close. Edmonton's a little less igloo-ish.
There's a little bit of the Inuit people, native Inuit, like what we in America call Eskimos. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
They're really fucking north. Yeah. So we're still technically in the provinces. They're in a territory which is above us.
Well, so she was saying that actually y'all's town is where Ice Road Truckers starts.
Yes.
Or Highway to Hell.
It.
All that, like if you're trying to go north, either Bush Plane or Ice Road Trucker.
That's right. We're basically the top before you got to take an ice road to get to the territories.
So you guys are some of the first ones that Santa drops off presents to. So that's tight.
Yes.
I don't know because we've been on the naughty list the last few years. So
you have been.
I have definitely been on the naughty list. But the cold.
That's for all the children that are watching this.
That's right.
So many children watching.
So many children.
Our viewership is just like 13-year-olds and under.
Yeah. It's all fucking children. Yes.
I want a one about Quack.
Yeah. Learn and
hey. Yeah, right. Well, real quick, let's throw to commercial. We have got your mama's book, right? Called Lil Sheila. And her book is called 2 Calls.
Yep.
And here.
Phone call as a parent that your son has been hit by a car and is being life flighted.
2 hours before we got the call, Chad had called me to tell me it was the best day of his life. And then I get another call, and a stranger had found him, and they were care flighting him to a trauma unit, and that he would start praying for our family that we needed to hurry.
You know, when you wake up on the operating table and they're like, we're going to cut off both your legs. And then I wake up and then one's gone, the other one's in an external rod system. It's just not good. The real kicker is that I've had like all of these scars all over my arms, and that's all from complications resulting from drug abuse.
I never thought about giving up on him. Never. This is my son, and I know he's going to be okay. You cannot just have help for the addict. You have to seek out professional help. The whole family has been affected.
And I just want to make that very clear to anybody who's out there listening, that if I can do this thing as much as I've been through, man, there's a lot of wiggle room for people before they get to that point where they can do it too.
All right. And that book is actually called 2 Calls. If they go to 2calls.org, it will take you to the website, and they can purchase it there. And then also they can get your email address.
Yeah.
You and your mom are both doing speaking engagements.
Yeah,
correct?
we do speaking engagements, or speaking stuff as it's referred to a lot on this show, where we just speak about stuff to people.
Right.
But it's mainly geared towards families, and we go around and try to share a message of hope and stuff like that. So, and anybody can reach out if they want to. Our emails are up on that into that video, or you can find them on the website and reach out to us.
Okay.
So,
cool.
Yeah.
Sounds good. And then also we have a new track out right now.
What's it called?
It is called Tonight I'm All Right.
Oh, you got it right. Dungeons and Dragons.
All right, and that song is called "Tonight I'm All Right." And if you, it's streaming on all major platforms, still available on.
It's also on minor platforms too.
Minor and major platforms.
Like Juno and all those other things that obscure people use.
Juno what?
I don't. Do you know what platform it's on? Did you know it's on all the platforms?
Right. So they can actually, I do want to push the Spotify playlist. There's one called This Is Kelly Reverb. And if you follow that, then I keep that up to date with all our garbage, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Or as the French would say,
as the French Canadians
Galbage.
There we go.
Yeah, that's how it's pronounced in French. I've never taken French, but that's how I would pronounce it if I was French.
Well, all right.
It's pretty good.
So there's that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so back to our friends north of the border. By the way, Dave, you've just been surpassed. Your wife is now, you were currently my favorite Canadian, but now your wife is my favorite Canadian.
She's
Just
my
so you
favorite
know.
too, man. That's the whole reason we started the podcast, is so I could show the world what I already knew.
So you could showcase, yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, so I guess let's talk about, how you guys obtain sobriety. I mean, with Chad went to jail. That helped him, and then I actually went to rehab, and that was what was my resolution. So what was the resolution for you guys?
Oh man. Well,
second marriage.
yeah, basically. Okay, so this is a bit of a jaunt, but after the first divorce, eventually in my pit of addiction, I met another woman who was also in her pit of addiction, and so we trauma bonded, and we used each other's toxicity to try and not die, basically, just so we'll spin out together. So that worked for a while until we both decided that we wanted to change. We got sober. We started going to church, turned our life around, and I stuck with it, and she didn't. So so we started to go down again. So I've obviously when you're, and we got married. So second wife now. So when your wife starts to fall away, I did what any guy would do, and I started to chase after her, and I ended up getting dragged down with her. So got into it again. That was more focused on drinking. We were not so much into drugs then, but we were still falling pretty hard.
Right.
Eventually.
And I love that. Hold on. I love the fact that you're obviously your third wife. You picked a drug dealer.
Yeah. I didn't learn at all from anything.
Because there's no pattern at all.
Yeah. So 2019, I basically come to the fork in the road because I could see where she was going, and I didn't want to do that again. I did that already, and I knew it wasn't going to work for me. So I gave her the choice. I said, we got to go back to church. You got to get yourself together, or I have to leave. And she said, okay, go. So I left. And so that would put me on my second divorce, and I promised myself I wasn't going to do what I did the first time. So I got sober, stayed clean, went back to church, took care of myself, started hitting the gym. And 6 months after that, not even, me and I'd known Caitlin for years, obviously, as she told you, but we never really communicated, we never really connected until
just mostly groping at front door.
Can I just tell a really funny story about this?
Hot.
Let's hear it. Our reconnection moment was one of my best friends. It was his Christmas party, and Dave's ex-wife did my makeup for me, and I posted it on Snapchat, and he was like, hey, you look good, and that's where it started.
Oh, hell yeah.
So that's my
like it.
Fault, I guess.
Well, hey.
Yeah, so I got
so
we started hanging out, and that's that basically kicked into.
Yeah, but you were clean before that. Like, you were clean, drug free for like 5 years.
Yeah,
and then you would only have like a beer here and there when I started talking to you.
Yeah,
because I was in like full blown. So this would have been December of 2019. Is at the beginning of December is when we started talking.
Yeah.
And then January 25th of 2020 is when I got sober.
Just before COVID.
Just before COVID.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I got clean during COVID. Like people are always like, "Oh yeah, COVID ruined everything." I'm like, "No, man. It was great."
Yeah.
I quit drinking.
Yeah.
Some good things might have.
I couldn't go anywhere. I needed to be like in one place.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so, and then like, I want to also plug your podcast because y'all do a podcast, and that's where I discovered how talented your wife was, Dave.
Yeah. That's the whole point of it.
Well, yeah, exactly. So what is the podcast, and where can people watch it?
So the podcast is called "Okay, So Hear Me Out." It's based on what she says.
Say that in Canadian.
I thought, okay, so hear me out.
There you go. And
then we established that there's a comma after okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
We had to establish that earlier.
That's right. The comma's very important.
Okay.
Because that's when she gathers her breath. She goes, okay, so hear me out.
There we go.
That is my thing. Yep.
We basically started it because did you tell anything about it?
I did. Yeah.
Okay. So when she got diagnosed with ADHD and OCD, and we were just kind of figuring it out. Like you've only had the diagnosis for a year?
Just over a year.
Just over a year. So she started going to therapy about it. And we're talking through it. Like we're still figuring it out. She doesn't really understand it all. I don't understand it all. And so we kind of use that as like a platform to sit down and just figure it out. But as
have an open dialogue about it.
Yeah. And then as we started.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's talk. I want to talk about that, your wife's OCD. And cause I already know the toothbrush story and your let's say nightly, daily sundries, which are your toothpaste, your hair gel, all that. Why don't we, Kate, why don't you reenact that story for me, Caitlin?
Oh, is that?
of how your OCD looks.
Okay, so my OCD is not it's not a habitual OCD, it's a cleaning OCD. So I have to have everything has to be in its place, organized, clean, or I have panic attacks and I like freak out about it. Which for people who know, when you have ADHD, it becomes a challenge because ADHD is the opposite. So ADHD is very like, let's just go with it and things will kind of happen as they happen. So I'm constantly battling my own brain. So I have the bathroom counter set up so that things are nice and organized.
Of course.
This man every morning will get up and get ready for work, and he'll use his hair gel and his beard gel and all the things and then just put it down on the counter, and then he just walks out. So then I get up in the morning and I go in the bathroom and I resituate it to how it's supposed to be. And then he comes home and he has a gig. So he gets in the shower, gets ready for his gig, and does the same thing. And then it's like an endless cycle. So I had to call him out on it on the podcast so that I had all of the viewers supporting me, being like, you need to hold him accountable, guys. I need somebody else.
He didn't even realize that was going on. He just thought some fairy came in and all this stuff was exactly lined up.
Yeah. My son's fairy. Yeah.
He just thought that there was some random little fairy that put his stuff back for him, and that's just how it went. But I am the fairy.
That's
it's
right.
me.
She's the fairy. Now, to be fair, since she brought it up on the podcast and mentioned it, I didn't realize up until that point. But since she mentioned it, everything goes back in the place that it's supposed to.
Yes.
Nice. You've learned.
Yeah. So I do learn.
I like it.
I'm not completely dense.
Right. Well, and so like, as far as that goes, like, I mean, because you do talk about it openly a lot, like what are some things that you're currently working on as far as your OCD and ADHD?
Oh my gosh.
Well, we're trying to map out the different phases she has. Like, because you go through different periods of time, her mind will be in a different place. Like you've got the
overstimulation, and then there's a wall, and there's
Okay. So as far as overstimulation, what would that entail? What would something like that look like?
So overstimulation, basically, so people with ADHD or neurodivergent, or neurospicy as we like to call it. So when you get overstimulated, I can hear colors. So like the sound of my dog, who I love immensely, walking across the floor will be my 13th reason why. Like, it's like, I can't, I could just be sitting down and one of the kids will be standing behind me, and the way they're breathing, and I'll turn around and I'm like, I need you to breathe in a different room. Like, I can't. So it's the littlest sounds and movements that some people do. There could be a moment where Dave is like in the kitchen washing dishes, and I'll push him out of the way and I'll be like, I can't. The way you're hitting the dishes on the sink is like so loud in my brain that I'm gonna have it, like, I'm gonna fucking lose my shit. So I just need you to go away. And I get, well, I've also heard
that Dave's size is now a factor in the household. That Dave has gotten so developed and yoked that y'all are having trouble navigating around him in the household.
Yes. Yeah. So that is like I love you so much.
Too. Let me see how much. Let me see how bad I can throw Dave under the bus.
Yeah. So here's the thing is that I'm so proud of the progress and stuff that he has made in himself, and he's invested a lot into himself over this last couple of years, and which he has never done. So I support that fully. But get the fuck out of the kitchen when I'm in there. That's all I can say.
Hey, beefcake, fucking hit the road, dude. I gotta make a bowl of cereal, man.
Take up half the fucking real estate.
So like when we go to church, for the first half an hour, they do like worship, and he literally has to like stand a chair away from me because I can't put my hands up in worship because he's in my way. And I'm bumping into him while I'm like, I need you to sit like somewhere else. Like, go away.
Hey, meathead, jump over a couple.
Yeah. Go sit in a different chair.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just navigating through like my phases of what I go through with it. And then trying to find the balance with my OCD, because the OCD is it's hard because I'm very particular about how things are done, and the way that like my house looks like nobody fucking lives here. I have 2 kids, 3 cats and a dog, and you would never know because I'm constantly.
It looks like a show house.
Yeah. Like it looks like what you would walk into, right? And it's very and there are days when I have mental breakdowns about it because I'm like, I can't handle this. Like, what am I supposed to do? But it's learning how to put up the boundaries for myself as well, and knowing my limits on specific things too, right? That kind of help navigate where I'm going with it. So
now, would you say that it's like, is it a, like, you can't, like, certain things are out of your control and then that drives you crazy, or what would you say it was? You know?
So the OCD actually came when my stepdad got sick. I was always very very, very clean and very like the house clean and whatever. But
fastidious.
So my stepdad was diagnosed in last April with stage 4 lung cancer that had spread to his brain. And was given 4 to 6 months to live. And then within that time frame, so then he passed in September. July of that same year, I had my uncle had overdosed and passed away. December, my niece was hit by a drunk driver. She was 6 years old at the time and has been in a coma ever since. January, my biological dad died. March or February, my grandmother on my stepdad's side passed away, and then March, my other uncle overdosed. So in the run of less than a year, I had 7 deaths 6 deaths and 1 major accident that I was grieving and trying to figure out how to navigate through, and I couldn't. So I started going through therapy, to which she was like, because I was lost control in all other things. I couldn't control what was happening outside of my life. So it became that I had to control what I could. And that's when I got my OCD diagnosis.
And this is the first time she's had to handle grief sober.
Yeah, I've never dealt with trauma sober before, right? So this was my first time that I had dealt with a lot of death and a lot of overdoses, as you guys would know, in active addiction. It's and you kind of just, oh, well, I guess we're going to go have a drink in his name and move on. And then my stepdad passed, and it was like, everybody sat down at the kitchen counter at 2:00 in the morning and opened up his favorite bottle of wine, and I had to go to bed because I was like, I can't be here for this. This isn't where because I can't drink to deal with my grief, and I can't drink, right? I have to, and so having to try and figure out how to grieve properly and how to feel emotions that I never knew I had, because for 13 years I was numb, right? So I had to navigate six different types of grief in the run of 9 months while staying sober and trying to figure out what each emotion meant that I was feeling, because I was feeling shit that I never even knew you could feel.
Oh yeah,
like I cried.
Well, no, that's crazy. Like I like people, dealing with grief, and like that's the thing. Like it's not all what I say is unicorns and rainbows. Once you become sober, I mean, there's real shit happening in your life, like loss, and you have to learn to navigate and sit with that, and that's a lot on your plate to deal with all at once.
Yeah, holy shit, you took the crash course, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of threw into it.
It did, and I spent a lot of time in bed and a lot of time avoiding, because I didn't when I say I didn't know how to cry, like I'm not joking. I didn't cry, like I didn't know how to cry, and then I don't know what happened, and you and I were laying on the couch, and I broke, and I think I cried for like 3 days, and I was like, what is happening to me? Like, what is this? And Dave was like, this is called feeling.
It's called emotions.
This is emotions. This is normal. And I was like, this is what I didn't do for years, being high and drunk. So I didn't need to, because I had drugs as a crutch. So now it's like, and I'm still like, we just hit the 1 year mark for my stepdad in September, and I'm still grieving, because I'm still trying to and there are times when the OCD kicks in more, because when the grief kicks in, the OCD kind of goes, okay, well, we can't control that, so let's try and control something here. So let's take care of this thing and make it this way and make it so, and then nobody can take that from you. So I'm constantly in a mental battle with myself.
Yeah, it's like you're compensating for control, like something you don't have control over. At least I can control this. And then it gets to be where it's obsessive. Yeah, I totally get it. And I mean, but that is a lot to, handle at once. I mean,
I got a question. So when all that was going on, would it be safe to say that by the last several things that had happened, like, was there a certain level of like apathy that started taking place in place of, I don't know, you just kind of get used to it and start being just kind of like neither here nor there about it. And it's just like, well, this is just part of it. And it's like apathy / acceptance, you know what I mean? To not be like cynical, but
I would say it was more dissociation than anything. The last one, so it was my stepdad. My stepdad got sick, then my uncle passed, and him and I didn't really have a very strong, like, I didn't know him. I hadn't seen him since I was like 7, so that one didn't really hit me as hard. But the fact that it was an overdose was very like that. It was personal. Yeah. And then my niece, that one I kind of had to go into like survival mode for, because we took in 3 of their kids, so that they could be at the children's hospital with her. So I was more in the avoidance at that point.
It was like autopilot.
I was autopilot for a long time. When my bio dad passed at the end of January, I can honestly tell you it was like I left my body, because I was like, okay, how do you go, like, how? And then my grandmother passed, and it was like, I don't even think I cried when I found out she passed. I was very like,
Right.
this is it. And then my uncle in March, I broke for about 20 seconds, and then I wiped my tears and was like, it happens.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah.
So here's another funeral I got to get ready for, and here's another speech I got to write, and here's something. So, you know, and then I start to, when it gets heavy, I dissociate from it so that I don't slide back into that darkness that I was in.
Well, I mean, the thing that I've noticed, like in my, because I had my mother pass away and my stepdad, and they were both within a year of each other. And this, you know, a couple of years ago, but it's just like one of those things where I just, you know, accepted death, that, hey, it's going to happen to us all. You know, we're not 20 years old and bulletproof. So everybody will eventually pass away. But then it came to, you know, where I started looking into whole NDEs, which is near-death experiences, and became very fascinated with that. And through that, I mean, I've come to my own conclusion that there is a life after this, and this is just, you know, a temporary experience, you know, like a university, and then everything's cool and we'll be reunited on the other side. Now, if somebody wants to scientifically argue that, you know, do I have factual proof? No, but I mean, from what I've done as far as watching endless accounts, there is a common denominator in most NDEs. And, you know, it doesn't, I mean, not that I want to die. I want to enjoy this life and enjoy, you know, what I can and learn what I can and all that stuff. But, you know.
But it would bring like some sort of solace to the answer of that question in your mind. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like some sort of like peace thinking like that. So I could see that.
Right. And that's kind of, that's what I do. So, I mean, that's how I kind of got through my loss. But then I also hear that there's something, and I don't know if it's made its way up to Canada yet, but EMDR.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was a trendy US thing.
No, it's it's definitely something. It's new. It's only within, I would say, probably the last 6-7 years that it actually came into Canada. So it's not something that's very well known. But it is a very, it's becoming very popular in trauma healing for people going through therapy and stuff.
I don't know what that is.
It's, it's like
Dave's like,
it's done with like,
just making shit up.
Yeah, we're just making up.
Yeah, we're just talking letters. We're just making random letters. Yeah, it's ZPX, dude. You don't know what that is?
Canada's way behind, dude. Fucking ZP, dude.
Come on. No, EMDR.
It's eye movement desensitization.
Yeah, eye movement desensitization.
We can't fucking talk.
Yeah, right. And
I'll let you guys say it. I won't.
And something.
It literally just puts you back into the trauma and helps you like process
rewire
in a chair in real time with a therapist.
That sounds like mushrooms.
You're close.
but it is
but they use the Knight Rider light, dude.
It's non-hallucinogenic and it's not plant-based and it's not chemical-based.
It's not kratom. You know what I mean?
Kratom.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was actually one that my therapist wanted me to do, and I was like, you know what? There's some things I don't want to relive, and I'm good.
The walls that are built for a reason.
Yeah, the walls that I have up are there for a reason, and I'm not willing to let you take those down. So
right.
So you're going into the counseling field, right?
Yes.
After all this stuff.
Officially today.
All right, man. And wait, what do you mean officially? Let's get back into the argument.
Let's stir that up.
Let's just stir the pot.
I knew it. Okay, so I had orientation last week,
Which I say was first day.
which he said was the first day.
Okay.
But I don't think it was.
Hold on. What is the, first off, Dave, just know this, and you should already know this, Dave. Your wife is always right. Okay.
Oh, I know.
So,
But I'm going to call it.
So since you've gone public with that, what is the general consensus? Because I love you, Caitlin, but I am with Dave on this one, where I think orientation is school.
Just day one.
Yeah, no, everybody agrees with Dave. I was like, everybody agrees with him. I was the one.
Okay.
I was the one who ever even my mom was like, no, Caitlin, orientation is day one, and I was like, but I didn't do schoolwork, and she's like, no, but you talked about school, and they went over the course.
You were in the classroom where you're going to do schoolwork.
Yeah.
So yeah. And
Yeah.
it said, I think Dave said it was what was it, the if I go in for orientation for work, they're paying me for work, so I'm technically working even though I'm in orientation.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah, and then the general consensus that came from everybody else was like, yes, Caitlin, orientation is day one.
And I'm going to take that.
Yes, and he will. He put it on the calendar and everything. So when I say, for me, officially, so last week there was a prerequisite course that they do, because the school that I'm doing is online, and it's a lot of adults who have been out of school for a long time. And they have put, so they do a refresher course of how to study and how to read and blah 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 whatever.
Right.
But today was the first official lecture, and where chapter 1 of the learning counseling stuff came in.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, I'm glad that you have found your way to constructively, basically give back. Yeah,
that's badass.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
And then I love, and I was going to say, I also love your guys' podcast. So I wanted to be sure and plug that one more time, so people can check it out.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly, buddy.
Yeah, plug away.
Okay, so hear me out. It's called Okay, so hear me out podcast.
Yeah.
And then where are y'all streaming?
So we're
everywhere.
We're everywhere. Yeah. We're hosted through Pod. Or RSS, so it shoots out to basically anywhere you can get your podcast, you can get it, the audio anyway, and we put the video goes on YouTube every week as well. That's
okay, and y'all have, and that's where your channel is so okay. So hear me out. If they look that up,
okay, so hear me out.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so hear me out. If you type that into any podcast platform, you'll get it. But YouTube is actually, you can type that in and it'll get you there, but it's actually on my.
All right. So then are you going to have your own Instagram for that eventually and migrate away from the Radio Dave?
Yeah, well, that's exactly what we just did, because we figured it was starting to take on a life of its own. So now we've got Instagram and its own TikTok.
Oh, well, now I'll have to follow that. I'll have to follow that one.
Yeah. You're just going to get the same clips I'm posting, but it'll be without all the fucking EDM bullshit in between.
I love it. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on, and I love your transparency, and you guys, and of course I love the Canadian in you both.
Oh man, thanks so much for having us.
Thanks for having us. It was really fun. It was good.
You guys are a laugh. Kill me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. And then who do we got coming up next week? Oh, I have no idea.
I don't know.
Anyway. Well, I appreciate you guys being on. Be sure follow this podcast.
Their podcast,
and our music,
and no other podcasts, just those two podcasts.
And then also hit the donation button.
Every other podcast.
Hit the donation button on everything.
Yeah, donate. Yeah. I mean, donate your. You can donate organs if you want.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
You can donate states.
Yeah, no, you could donate the entire state of Oregon, but we wouldn't want it because it's a shit show right now.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
All right. Well, I appreciate
Shout out to all the people in Oregon right now that aren't listening to this.
Right.
Just alienate the whole
that aren't on mushrooms and Yeah, I got you. All right, well, be sure tune in next week for something exciting. And remember, kids,
super exciting.
Yeah, right.
It's gonna be so exciting.
It's so exciting.
So fucking exciting.
Right.
You can't
This is the
fucking
best
wait.
promo I've ever heard in my life.
I know. Well, remember, kids, there is no magic pill for sobriety, because if there was, we would all take too many.
Activate.